For thousands of years, our ancestors were wanderers, constantly moving in search of food and shelter. Their lives were a daily struggle for survival, but then, something incredible happened. A shift so monumental it would change the course of human history forever. What was it? It was the moment we decided to stay. This is the story of how we stopped chasing food and started growing it. Around 10,000 years ago, a revolution began. Not with swords or kings, but with seeds. Early humans learned to cultivate crops and domesticate animals. This wasn't just about farming, it was about creating a future. For the first time, we could produce more food than we immediately needed. This surplus was the key that unlocked everything. With a stable food source, we no longer had to roam. We could build permanent homes, forming the first villages. Life was still hard, but it was predictable. People had time to think, to innovate, to specialize. Some became better farmers. Others became skilled builders, potters, or weavers. These small communities were the seeds of something much bigger. As villages grew, they evolved into bustling towns. Trade routes began to form, connecting different communities, and allowing for the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. This interaction sparked new technologies. We invented the wheel, developed metallurgy, and created systems of writing to keep track of our trade and our stories. From these thriving towns, the world's first cities emerged. Places like Uruk in Mesopotamia became massive urban centers, home to tens of thousands of people. With so many people living together, new challenges arose. How do you manage resources? How do you keep order? To answer these questions, we invented government, laws, and organized religion. Grand temples were built to honor the gods, and powerful leaders emerged to rule these complex societies. This incredible transformation from small bands of hunter-gatherers to sprawling, organized civilizations laid the groundwork for the world we live in today. Our cities, our governments, our technologies, it all began with a single seed planted in the ground and the revolutionary idea of home. It's a powerful reminder that the greatest changes often start with the simplest of steps. From nomads to settlers, the agricultural revolution. The story of our civilization didn't start with kings or castles, but with a handful of seeds. For most of human history, our ancestors were nomads. Small groups of hunter-gatherers were always on the move, following animal herds and seasonal fruits. They were tough, adaptable, and deeply connected to nature. But life was uncertain. A bad season or a shift in animal migration could mean disaster. Over thousands of years, something incredible started to happen. People noticed that seeds dropped near their campsites would sprout into new plants. Slowly, generation by generation, they began to experiment. Instead of just finding food, they started growing it. This was the dawn of agriculture, and it was a gift. Farming meant food security. For the first time, people could produce more food than they needed right away, storing the surplus for lean times. They also began to domesticate animals, which provided a steady source of meat, milk, and labor. With reliable food, populations grew, and with bigger families, the constant wandering had to stop. People started building permanent homes near fertile land and fresh water, creating the very first settled communities. These new villages brought new ways of living. People had to cooperate to manage fields, share water, and protect their harvest. Some became expert farmers, while others specialized in making tools or pottery. This division of labor made everyone's lives easier and created strong, interconnected communities. People now relied on each other in ways they never had before. Living in one place also changed how people thought about time. Instead of thinking day to day, they had to plan for entire seasons, when to plant, when to harvest. This led to early forms of calendars and soon, villages started trading with each other. One community might have extra grain, another might have better stone tools. These trade networks spread goods, ideas, and culture across vast distances. The agricultural revolution didn't just change our diet, it changed our destiny. It laid the foundation for everything that came next. These small farming settlements grew larger and more complex, slowly evolving into the first towns and cities, setting the stage for the next great chapter of human history. The next topic is the birth of cities, how early urban centers formed it. As a fascinating story that starts with one simple but revolutionary idea: making more food than you need. Cities didn't just pop up overnight, they grew directly from successful farming communities. As people mastered agriculture and learned to cooperate, they began producing food surpluses. This extra food meant populations could expand, and with more people came new needs: better organization, specialized workers, and more structure. These pressures gradually transformed stable villages into bustling towns, and eventually into the world's very first cities, places where thousands of people lived and worked together. Location was everything. The earliest cities sprang up in places where nature was generous. Think of Mesopotamia, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers created fertile plains perfect for irrigation. Or Egypt, where the Nile's predictable floods guaranteed huge harvests year after year. The same thing happened in the Indus Valley and along China's Yellow River. These ideal environments could support dense populations, laying the groundwork for urban societies. But what truly made cities revolutionary was specialization. For the first time in history, not everyone had to be a farmer. The food surplus could support craftsmen, builders, traders, priests, and administrators. This division of labor was like pouring fuel on the fire of innovation. Pottery became more beautiful and practical. Tools got stronger and more efficient. Buildings grew larger and more permanent. Entirely new skills emerged, like metalworking, weaving, and long-distance trade. Cities became buzzing hubs of creativity and progress. To manage this growth, early forms of urban planning appeared. Leaders organized the construction of protective walls, complex irrigation canals, and public buildings. Streets, whether planned or grown organically, connected homes to central gathering places like markets and temples. These public spaces were the heart of the city, fostering social interaction, strengthening cultural identity, and creating a shared sense of community. Of course, when you pack thousands of people into one place, you need rules. Conflicts over resources, land, or trade became more common. This need to resolve disputes and maintain order pushed societies toward more formal systems of leadership and governance. It was a natural evolution. Cities also became the engines of trade. Merchants traveled vast distances, exchanging goods like pottery, metals, textiles, and grain. But they weren't just trading things. They were trading ideas. These networks spread new technologies, languages, and cultural practices far and wide, connecting different regions like never before. Many cities grew incredibly wealthy from this trade, using their new riches to fund even more impressive projects. Religion also played a huge role in uniting these diverse urban populations. Grand temples, shared rituals, and common beliefs helped glue society together and legitimize the authority of its leaders. Priests often became powerful figures, influencing laws, governance, and the rhythms of daily life. Now, city life wasn't perfect. It created new challenges like overcrowding, competition for resources, and social inequality. But it was these very problems that forced societies to innovate, to develop better organization and stronger leadership. And that brings us right to the doorstep of our next topic, the rise of governments, which evolved specifically to manage the incredible complexity of these brand new urban worlds. The next topic is power and leadership, the rise of early governments. Ever wonder how the first cities didn't just collapse into chaos? Imagine thousands of people crammed together for the first time. Who made the rules? Who kept everyone safe? This is the story of how government was born, not from a grand plan, but out of pure necessity. Back in small farming villages, life was simple. Everyone knew each other, and respected elders or spiritual leaders would often guide the group. But when villages ballooned into bustling cities, things got complicated. Suddenly, you had huge irrigation systems that needed constant maintenance. You had massive granaries of food that needed to be managed and distributed. And with so many people, conflicts over land, water, or goods were inevitable. The old, informal ways just couldn't keep up. This is where the first real leaders stepped in. They weren't just wise old men anymore. They were organizers, managers, and protectors. In Mesopotamia, they were called lugals, or kings, responsible for everything from building massive temples to leading armies into battle. Ober in Egypt, the pharaohs were seen as something more divine rulers, a living link between the people and the gods, ensuring cosmic order and earthly prosperity. Interestingly, in the Indus Valley, it seems leadership was less about a single king and more about a group that managed incredible city planning and trade. And in ancient China, we see the rise of dynasties, families of rulers who claimed the mandate of heaven to justify their power. To manage these new cities, governments needed to get organized. They started keeping records of everything. And I mean everything: how much grain was in storage, who owned which plot of land, what goods were being traded. This need for record keeping was a huge reason writing systems like cuneiform and hieroglyphics were developed. It wasn't for poetry, it was for administration. These rulers couldn't do it all alone, so they created bureaucracies, teams of officials, scribes, and managers who became the engine of the state, making sure the government's orders were carried out. With rules came laws. Early legal codes, like the famous ones from Mesopotamia, were created to bring order to the chaos. They helped settle disputes, protect property, and punish crimes. Sure, some of the punishments were harsh by our standards, but these laws provided a sense of stability that was crucial for city life. This structure also created a clear social hierarchy. At the top, you had the ruler and their officials. Below them were priests, merchants, and skilled artisans. And at the base were the farmers and laborers who formed the backbone of the economy. It wasn't always fair, but this organization allowed cities to function and grow even larger. Of course, a city also needed protection. Governments built massive walls, trained professional armies, and developed military strategies to defend against raids and rival cities. Some rulers weren't content just to defend. They went on the offense, conquering neighboring cities to build the world's first empires. Others expanded their influence through trade and strategic alliances. But governments did more than just control and conquer. They were also patrons of culture. They sponsored the construction of breathtaking temples, funded incredible works of art, and organized public festivals that brought the community together. By providing stability and structure, these early governments allowed culture, learning, and technology to flourish like never before. But building a city and a government was only half the battle. These new urban centers depended on connections with the outside world. They needed to trade goods, share ideas, and communicate across vast distances. And that leads us directly to the next chapter in our story: the creation of the first global trade networks. The next topic is trade networks, connecting the ancient world. As early governments grew stronger and cities got bigger, a new force started to shape the world: trade. But this wasn't just about swapping goods. It was about sharing ideas, beliefs, technologies, and cultures. Trade connected people who had never met, linked cities across vast distances, and drove the development of entire regions. These networks became the lifeblood of ancient civilizations, allowing them to interact and evolve in incredible ways. Think about it: every city had its own strengths and weaknesses. Some places were great at growing grain, others mined precious metals, and some were famous for their pottery or textiles. No single city could produce everything it needed. So, merchants started traveling. They loaded up boats and navigated down rivers in Mesopotamia and Egypt. They crossed mountain paths and desert trails. In the Indus Valley, they even created standardized weights and seals to keep commerce fair. In ancient China, long-distance routes began to form, which would later become the legendary Silk Road. This trade didn't just bring in fancy goods, it supported the very fabric of city life. Governments collected taxes from trade to fund their operations. Artisans relied on materials from faraway lands to create their crafts. Even ordinary families depended on imported tools, foods, and household items. This web of connections made cities stronger, more diverse, and economically powerful. But the most valuable thing trade carried wasn't gold or spices, it was knowledge. When merchants traveled, they brought back stories of foreign customs, new farming techniques, and different religious ideas. Innovations like the wheel, bronze tools, and even writing systems spread from one culture to another through these exchanges. As ideas traveled, societies transformed faster than ever before. Progress wasn't just possible, it became inevitable. Trade also spurred diplomacy. Neighboring kingdoms often formed alliances to protect trade routes and ensure fair deals. Governments negotiated treaties, and protecting these economic lifelines became a key part of political strategy. This shows just how intertwined politics and economics were, even thousands of years ago. Picture the bustling marketplaces of the ancient world. They were more than just places to buy things. They were vibrant hubs where people shared food, music, stories, and beliefs. Foreign styles started appearing in local art, tools, and clothing. Civilizations became beautiful mosaics, blending their own traditions with imported ideas. Of course, it wasn't always easy. Merchants faced dangers like harsh weather, bandits, and political instability. Governments had to step in to manage disputes and protect the roads. And with more contact came more competition, which sometimes led to conflict. But these challenges pushed societies to innovate, creating stronger governments, better technology, and more organized systems. Ultimately, trade was the engine that connected the ancient world, weaving individual cities into a global tapestry. But as it connected people physically, it also strengthened something deeply personal: their beliefs. The exchange of ideas helped shape early religions, which became powerful forces guiding life, values, and community. The next topic is belief and myth, religion and early civilizations, as ancient trade routes carried silks, spices, and ideas across the world. something far more profound traveled with them: belief. Religion emerged as one of the most powerful unifying forces in early civilizations, offering people a sense of purpose, a shared identity, and deep-seated comfort in an uncertain world. It wasn't just a set of rituals. It was the invisible thread that wove societies together. It helped rulers maintain order and gave cities the traditions that would become the very foundation of their culture. In these early societies, religion was never separate from daily life. It was intertwined with everything from the rhythm of farming and the bustle of trade to the structures of leadership and the bonds of community. It all started in the early farming villages, where people's lives were deeply connected to the natural world. Sunlight, rain, sudden storms, and the slow turning of the seasons weren't just weather patterns. They were the difference between life and death. This constant dependence fostered a deep reverence for nature. As these small villages grew into sprawling cities, those natural forces were transformed in the human imagination. They became powerful gods and spiritual beings who held the strings of life and destiny. Magnificent temples rose at the heart of these new urban centers. They weren't just places of worship. They were the administrative hubs, the community centers, and the symbolic core of the city itself. Religion was the glue that held these growing populations together. Imagine thousands of people from different backgrounds, suddenly living side by side in a dense city, believing in the same gods and participating in the same sacred rituals, created a powerful sense of unity and shared identity. Priests became some of the most crucial figures in society. They interpreted omens, led ceremonies, and managed the vast wealth of the temples. In many civilizations, their influence rivaled that of kings and queens, as they helped shape laws, guide education, and define cultural norms. Every culture told stories to make sense of the world, and these myths were the heart of their religious beliefs. Mesopotamian tales described gods molding the first humans from clay. Egyptian beliefs were famously centered on the afterlife, mapping out the soul's perilous journey to the next world. While the Indus Valley civilization left us fewer written records, their intricate symbols and structures point to vibrant spiritual traditions. In ancient China, the focus was on harmony, ancestor veneration, and the balance of cosmic forces. These beliefs weren't just abstract ideas. They directly influenced how societies understood power, justice, and morality. Religion also became a powerful tool for government. Rulers often claimed to have divine approval, presenting themselves not just as leaders, but as chosen protectors of their people. This connection between the throne and the heavens gave their authority a sacred weight. Temples functioned almost like state institutions, collecting taxes, storing grain reserves, and controlling huge swaths of land. Grand religious festivals marked the calendar, aligning with planting seasons or celebrating military victories. And each celebration reinforced the city's unity and the ruler's power. As merchants traveled, their beliefs traveled with them. Foreign gods, new symbols, and unfamiliar rituals were introduced into local cultures, blending and mixing in fascinating ways. This created an incredibly rich and dynamic spiritual landscape where beliefs were constantly evolving and adapting. But religion didn't just unify people. It sparked innovation. Building monumental temples required new feats of architecture and engineering. Creating calendars to track ritual cycles pushed the boundaries of astronomy and mathematics. Writing systems were often developed to record sacred myths and texts. Art, sculpture, and music flourished, all inspired by a desire to express the divine. Religion pushed humanity to create, to question, and to imagine what lay beyond the visible world. But belief, as powerful as it was, could not sustain a civilization on its own. As populations swelled and cities expanded, their material needs grew ever larger. To support these flourishing societies, people needed new tools, more efficient systems, and groundbreaking technologies. This growing demand set the stage for the next great transformation in human history: the unstoppable march of innovation. The next topic is innovation and growth technology that transforms society. Have you ever wondered what truly gave ancient civilizations their power? While religion and shared beliefs were the glue that held societies together, it was innovation that gave them the strength to build empires. As beliefs unified people and trade connected them, early societies developed incredible technologies that completely reshaped daily life and expanded what was humanly possible. These weren't just random inventions. They were brilliant solutions to the challenges of growing cities, complex governments, and sprawling trade networks. One of the first and most critical breakthroughs was irrigation. Think about it. As farming became the backbone of society, cities needed a reliable water supply to survive. So, they built canals, reservoirs, and sophisticated channels that turned dry, arid land into fertile fields. This single innovation allowed them to support much larger populations, laying the groundwork for everything that followed. And then came the tools. We moved from simple stone tools to copper, and then to bronze. Suddenly, we had stronger blades, more effective farming equipment, and far more durable weapons. These advancements didn't just make life easier, they supercharged productivity and efficiency, paving the way for even more growth. But perhaps the most monumental innovation was writing. What started as simple marks on clay tablets to count sacks of grain blossomed into full-blown writing systems. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform was used to record everything from trade deals and laws to epic stories. In Egypt, intricate hieroglyphics covered temple walls and filled scrolls. Writing allowed civilizations to store vast amounts of knowledge, communicate complex ideas across generations, and organize incredibly complex societies. It was the ancient world's hard drive, cloud storage, and internet all rolled into one. With these foundations, architecture flourished. Cities weren't just collections of huts anymore. They built massive walls for defense, awe-inspiring temples for their gods, and grand administrative centers to govern their people. Skilled builders were constantly experimenting with new techniques, creating structures that were not just functional, but also powerful symbols of unity and strength. At the same time, roads were built to improve travel, and better boats were constructed to expand trade. Metalworking wasn't just for tools, it reshaped farming, construction, and even the art of warfare. The amazing thing is that these innovations were all connected. They created a powerful feedback loop. Better tools led to better farming. More food supported a larger population. A larger population demanded a stronger government. That government then sponsored massive construction projects. Religious institutions inspired breathtaking art and literature. And trade routes acted like ancient highways, carrying not just goods, but also new technologies and ideas across vast regions. This wave of innovation also shaped culture and identity. Skilled craftsmen and artisans gained social status, creating beautiful jewelry, textiles, and pottery that reflected their unique cultural values. Music, storytelling, and education began to blossom. As knowledge spread, people developed a much deeper understanding of the world and their place within it. Of course, progress wasn't always smooth. Growing cities devoured resources, competition for land and trade routes intensified, and conflicts sometimes erupted. But even these tensions pushed societies to adapt, to innovate, and to become stronger. So, when you look back at the dawn of civilization, you see this incredible fusion of agriculture, urban planning, government, trade, religion, and technology. Each element supported the next, creating a continuous chain of progress. The rise of the first great civilizations wasn't a single event, but a long, remarkable journey of human creativity, cooperation, and unrelenting ambition, a journey that built the very foundations of the world we live in today. The next topic is social hierarchies and the structure of early civilized life. Ever wondered how ancient cities, with thousands of people, managed to function without descending into total chaos? As writing, trade, and religion blossomed, early urban life became incredibly organized. But it also became deeply divided. To coordinate work, settle arguments, and share resources, societies needed a system. Over time, that system hardened into what we call social hierarchies, different layers of responsibility, privilege, and power that defined daily life in the ancient world. This wasn't some grand plan cooked up overnight. It happened slowly, as people specialized in different jobs, and as wealth and influence started to pool in the hands of a few. At the very top of the pyramid were the rulers, kings, chiefs, or pharaohs. They held power through military might, divine right, or control over essential resources like land and water. Just below them were the priests and nobles. These were the managers of society. They ran the temples, oversaw laws, led religious ceremonies, and commanded armies. They were the ancient world's administrators and executives. Next came the middle tier, a crucial class of skilled workers. Think artisans, scribes, and merchants. These were the people who drove the economy and shaped the culture. An artisan's pottery wasn't just a pot, it was a piece of technology and art. A scribe's ability to read and write was like having a superpower, making them indispensable for record-keeping and communication. Traders connected cities, bringing in exotic goods and new ideas. At the base of this entire structure were the farmers, laborers, and builders. They were the engine of civilization. Their hard work fed the cities, built the monumental temples and walls, and provided the physical power that made everything else possible. In some societies, there was an even lower rung. Enslaved people often captured in war or forced into servitude by debt. They performed the most grueling tasks under the harshest conditions, a dark reality of many early civilizations. Now, this hierarchical system wasn't all bad. It provided a sense of stability and order. When everyone knew their role, it was easier to cooperate on massive projects like building irrigation canals, defending the city, or constructing pyramids. Clear leadership meant decisions could be made efficiently for the good of the community. But the downside was stark. Inequality, wealth, and power were concentrated at the top, and for those at the bottom, moving up the ladder was often incredibly difficult, if not impossible. However, the rigidity of these systems varied. Some cultures offered pathways for social mobility. In places like Egypt and Mesopotamia, a talented scribe from a humble background could rise to a position of great influence because literacy was so rare and valuable. A clever merchant could amass a fortune and gain political sway through successful trade. In other societies, your birth determined your destiny, with social classes locked in place for generations. Despite these differences, all early civilizations shared a common understanding. Large-scale cooperation required rules. This led to the birth of formal laws to protect property, define rights, and punish wrongdoing. The famous Code of Hammurabi from Mesopotamia is a perfect example, a legal system carved into stone for all to see. While the punishments it prescribed often depended on your social class, the very idea of a standardized code of justice was revolutionary and would shape governance for millennia. Temples and palaces became the administrative hubs, the ancient equivalent of City Hall and the Treasury. This is where taxes were collected, food and goods were distributed, and major decisions were made. Public works were a testament to this organization. Irrigating vast fields, building defensive walls, and maintaining roads for trade couldn't be done by one person. It required the coordinated effort of thousands, all working within a shared system. As cities grew larger and more complex, the need for order naturally led to more formal and powerful structures of governance. Yet, beneath all the layers of class and status, a fundamental truth held these societies together. Everyone depended on each other. The role of the priest was just as vital to the civilization's identity as the role of the potter or the farmer. Each person's contribution, big or small, was a thread in the intricate tapestry of their society. By solidifying these roles and structures, early civilizations laid the groundwork for future empires, incredible technologies, and even the philosophical debates about justice and equality that we still have today. With their internal house in order, these civilizations were now ready to look outward and expand their influence beyond their own borders. The next topic is expansion, conflict, and the first great empires. Have you ever wondered why the world map looks the way it does? Why aren't we all just living in tiny, separate cities? The story begins thousands of years ago, when civilizations started to think bigger, much bigger. As cities and societies grew, so did their appetites. They needed more land for farming, more resources like timber and metal, and more control over profitable trade routes. This ambition, fueled by growing populations and competition, lit the spark for one of the most powerful forces in history: expansion. And with expansion came the rise of the first great empires. What is an empire, really? It's when one central power takes control over many different societies, uniting a vast territory under a single rule. Think of it like a network, with one hub calling the shots. One of the earliest blueprints for this was drawn in Mesopotamia. For centuries, city-states there had fought for dominance. Then came a ruler named Sargon of Akkad. He didn't just win a battle, he conquered city after city, creating one of the world's first known empires. He installed loyal governors to manage his new territories, setting a pattern that would be repeated for millennia. Sargon's empire didn't last forever, but the idea he unleashed was revolutionary. A single leader could organize and rule over huge regions. This wasn't just happening in Mesopotamia. In Egypt, pharaohs led military campaigns not only to defend their borders, but also to push into neighboring lands. They wanted to secure trade routes and get their hands on valuable resources. Over in China, early dynasties were doing something similar, uniting different clans, building massive defensive walls, and creating stable governments to manage their growing territories. The Indus Valley civilization was a bit different. It seems they expanded less through war and more through trade and cultural influence, showing that an empire's power isn't always measured in soldiers. Now, building an empire came with some serious perks. Suddenly, you had access to new farmland, immense wealth from conquered lands, and a larger workforce. You could get your hands on critical materials that your home region lacked. This expansion also kicked cultural exchange into high gear. Ideas, new technologies, and artistic styles started traveling across these vast empires, blending and evolving in fascinating ways. Conquered peoples brought their unique skills and traditions, enriching the empire as a whole. To keep these massive territories connected and manageable, rulers built roads, dug canals, and developed sophisticated communication systems. But let's be honest, empire building had a dark and brutal side. War became more organized and deadly. Armies grew larger, weapons became stronger, and military strategies became more complex. For the people who were conquered, life could be incredibly harsh. They often faced heavy taxes, forced labor, and brutal treatment. Unsurprisingly, this led to constant threats of rebellion from within, forcing rulers to find a delicate balance between brute force and clever diplomacy to keep their empires from falling apart. Despite these immense challenges, these early empires completely reshaped the course of human history. They proved that societies could grow far beyond a single city, ruling over thousands, even millions of people under one system. They became superhighways for ideas, spreading concepts about law, religion, and government across incredible distances. But as these empires rose and inevitably fell, they left behind a profound question. How does a culture survive when borders change, when power shifts, and when great leaders collapse? The answer, as we'll see, lies in something much deeper and more enduring than armies or walls, something that could connect people across generations. The next topic is culture, art, and the legacy of early civilizations. We often think about ancient history in terms of mighty empires, powerful kings, and epic battles. But what if I told you the true legacy of those early civilizations is found in their fallen walls or forgotten rulers? It's something far more powerful, something that's still with us today. It's their culture. While empires rose and fell, something incredible was happening inside their bustling cities. People were creating. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about expression. Art, music, storytelling, intricate craftsmanship, and shared rituals. These were the ways people showed what they believed in, what they valued, and what they dreamed of. This creative spirit is what truly outlived the kings and conquerors, reshaping societies long after political maps were redrawn. Let's start with art. It began simply enough, with patterns on pottery or small carved figures, but soon it exploded into monumental works that still leave us in awe. In Mesopotamia, artists carved incredibly detailed stone reliefs, telling stories of their gods, myths, and glorious victories. Travel to ancient Egypt, and you'll find tomb walls covered in vibrant paintings depicting everything from farming to grand feasts. Their massive sculptures weren't just statues. They were built to last for eternity, carrying a person's spirit into the afterlife. Over in the Indus Valley, artisans were crafting beautiful jewelry and tiny, intricate seals with mysterious symbols we're still trying to decipher. And in early China, the development of bronze casting was again. They created stunning vessels covered in complex, symbolic patterns that give us a window into how they saw the cosmos. Architecture became another powerful form of expression. The way a civilization designed its temples, palaces, tombs, and even the layout of its cities tells us so much. These structures revealed how people viewed the relationship between the divine, their rulers, and the community itself. Think of the ziggurats of Mesopotamia reaching for the heavens, or the pyramids of Egypt, perfectly aligned with the stars. These weren't just buildings. They were bold statements of collective pride and identity. They required advanced engineering and the coordination of thousands of people, proving just how sophisticated these societies had become. But culture wasn't just about things you could see. It was also about what you could hear and experience. Music, dance, and storytelling were the glue that held communities together. Imagine gathering for a festival, with drums beating and stories of heroes and gods being passed down through generations. These myths weren't just entertainment. They explained where people came from, the mysteries of nature, and important moral lessons. These shared stories created a powerful sense of unity and ensured that traditions and values were passed from parent to child. As societies grew more complex, so did their knowledge. Education began to formalize, with scribes, artisans, and priests training the next generation. Centers of learning emerged where incredible discoveries were made in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Calendars were developed to perfect farming cycles. Early maps helped guide traders across vast distances, and new tools revolutionized industry. Culture became the library of civilization, documenting discoveries and ensuring that progress continued. Now, Here's what makes culture so incredibly resilient. It doesn't just disappear when a city is conquered or an empire collapses. Ideas have legs. They migrate with people, trade routes, and stories. Art from one culture inspires artists in another. Technologies are adopted and adapted, spreading across continents. Even today, you can find traces of these ancient cultures all around us in the words we use. The design of our buildings, our religious practices, and even our systems of measurement, like the 60-minute hour we got from Mesopotamia. So, when we look back at the dawn of civilization, it is clear that their greatest achievements were just the cities they built, or the lands they conquered. It was the enduring power of their creative spirit. It was their ability to find meaning, forge an identity, and build a community through art, knowledge, and stories. In the end, culture preserved what politics could not, carrying the incredible legacy of the ancient world right into our modern lives. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past interesting, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you in the next one.